This is a home movie from Trelawney's stud in the early 1950s. Providing the entertainment is Foxbridge, at the tail end of an illustrious career. Close by is Seton Otway, the man whose vision set Trelawney's stud on the path to fame. It seems an unlikely role for a horse which had established a record that will be hard to beat, New Zealand's most successful sire for 11 consecutive seasons. But that was the way of life at Trelawney, and it must have worked well, as over the years Otway and Foxbridge helped turn Trelawney into the most influential stud in Australasia. Cambridge was almost a thoroughbred breeding backwater when Otway decided to turn this dairy farm on the banks of the Waikato River into a stud. He had been around horses all his life and wanted to broaden his breeding interests by standing a stallion or two. Otway liked horses with impeccable breeding on the dam side. The search for a sire brought Foxbridge from England, where he had established his credentials. Foxbridge made himself at home in Cambridge, although the family fondly recall a couple of unusual habits. A favourite activity of the sire was rubbing against this tree and squealing. And then there was the butterfly chases. He didn't like anyone encroaching on his turf. Foxbridge's butterfly chasing style left a bit to be desired, but certainly not his real purpose at the stud. The business was breeding winners, and the first appeared at Te Rapa in 1938. By the time of his third crop in 1940-41, Foxbridge was clearly the outstanding sire in the country. It was the versatility of his progeny that brought success on all tracks. Foxbridge sired winners across all age group races. He produced sprinters and stayers, wet trackers and firm trackers, and everything in between. He established a degree of dominance that any breeder would be proud to match. The 1940s in New Zealand belonged to Foxbridge. Boxing Day at Ellerslie in 1944 reveals the range of his progeny's talent. They won 6 of the 8 races on the card, covering distances from sprints to 2 miles. Yet as the headline says, the real hero wasn't even at the track. Foxbridge horses claimed all the classic races, but World War II prevented many from trying their luck in Australia. Sleepy Fox was fortunate enough to race and win across the Tasman, although he will always be remembered for the record 4 wins in the Easter Handicap at Ellerslie. The national yearling sales at Trentham grew in popularity throughout the 1940s, and Foxbridge progeny were in high demand. The number of lots for sale doubled and the gross turnover quadrupled during the decade. Stake earnings by Foxbridge's progeny during this period totaled £475,000, nearly twice as much as his closest rival. Buyers came from near and far, even during Foxbridge's final year at the top. That's understandable, as he sired 32 winners of 60 races for stakes of £51,000. Trelawney stud has a special place in Melbourne Cup history. 5 of the stud's 7 Melbourne Cup winners were out of Foxbridge mares. The first was Haraji in 1947. The tradition of excellence at Trelawney grew over the following years as other outstanding sires followed Foxbridge. His personal record stands as champion New Zealand sire from 1941 to 1951. He was champion New Zealand broodmare sire 11 times, and the stakes won by his progeny was £917,000. By the time the last Foxbridge progeny finished racing, they had not only smashed all New Zealand records, but made him a champion British Empire sire. Perhaps Foxbridge's greatest legacy, apart from the racing talent, was in establishing Waikato as a world-class thoroughbred breeding centre.